Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Tatler Talks. I'm Stephanie Zubiri, editor for Tatler Homes and senior contributing writer for Tatler Philippines. And welcome. I will be your host this afternoon on a very interesting topic: smart moves for challenging times in partnership with Cocolife. Now, today we are going to talk about how we can invest better and in a smart way, particularly during these challenging times. And honestly, it's been very difficult to navigate because the things that might have been sure in the past are not necessarily as certain as they are today. So today we have an esteemed panel of individuals who will share their knowledge. But before that, I would like to announce that we were going to have a raffle for today with some very exciting prizes. Now, I would like you to answer this question in order to join the raffle. So just type it in the chat box. What will make you feel financially safe now? Okay, so we will be picking two winners today, and the prizes are quite nice actually. Each winner will receive a coffee bean and tea leaf coffee machine plus a Cocolife care package. So don't forget to answer that question. I'm going to write it again. It is, what will make you feel financially safe now? So type that in the chat box and we'll pick out two lucky winners. All right. So if you would like to know a bit more about Cocolife and how you can secure your financial future, well, visit Cocolife's website, www.cocolife.com, and check them out as well on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And feel free to call their customer care line at 0288107888 or email them at customer_service@cocolife.com. All right, I am eager and I will definitely reach out, and my ears will definitely be open today. So, without further ado, I'm sure you would like to know who is our panel today. We've got an amazing panel. So, we are going to start with our first guest, Franco Varona, managing partner at Foxmont Capital Partners Private Limited, which provides venture capital funds and equity investments in startup and growth phase companies.
Hey,
Hi,
Steph.
Franco.
Hi. Thanks for
Welcome.
having me.
Oh, my pleasure. It's always fun to chat with you. Okay, we'll bring you back in a little bit. We're going to introduce our next guest, Marga Nograles. Okay, so Marga is the managing director of MT Martish Corporation, the exclusive sub-distributor of Brazilian flip-flop brand Havaianas in Southeast Mindanao, and she is also the founder of Kaayo Modern Mindanao, a curated clothing brand designed with unique fabrics and embroidery using dyeing and weaving techniques that are distinctly Mindanao made, straight from my heart and hometown as well. Hi Marga, welcome.
Hello, Steph. Maayong hapon sa tanan. Thanks for having
Yes,
me.
my pleasure. We'll bring you back in just a second. Now, we are going to introduce our next guest, which is Rosario Juan, founder of the celebrated Commune Cafe, an arts and culture space that serves locally grown coffee. And she is also a Gentee honoree of Tatler. Hi, Ross.
Hi, good
Thank you
afternoon.
for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm very excited to learn a little bit more about how you kept thriving during these times. So we'll bring you back in just a second as I introduce my next guest. Okay, our next guest today is Trinna Bernardino, Senior Vice President and Chief Actuary of Cocolife, with years of industry experience and expertise in finance, investments, strategy, and risk.
Hello, staff. Thank you for the introduction.
Hi, Trina. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm looking forward to hearing all your insights about how to invest better today.
Excited.
Okay, let's bring out all our guests with us. Perfect. Thank you. How is everyone doing this afternoon? Let's start with Marga.
Oh, we're good, and I'm so honored and excited to be with all of you. Thank you again, Tatler and Coco Life, for having us.
Thank you. You're really such a friend of Tatler, and I'm so excited to hear about how your business boomed and flourished during these times. Franco, how are you doing?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Thanks for asking. And yeah, thanks for Tatler and Cocolife for inviting me as well. Super
Oh,
excited to share.
okay, and Ross and Trina, how are you both feeling this afternoon?
Awesome. It's really a pleasure to be here with Ross, Marga, Franco, and you staff. Everyone, thank you, Tatler.
And Ross, all good?
All good and caffeinated.
Well, I wish I were that. I miss drinking coffee, but I think I will make that exception when I go visit you one of these days. So, speaking of which, I am really excited to hear the synergy and the different types of conversation that we're going to have today because, you know, like many others, for example, myself, I thought all my investments were quite secure. I had a lot of real estate investments, but my goodness, I mean, most of my properties were empty for quite a long time. And made me realize that I really had to diversify my portfolio and look at other things and other ways to invest better, to have smarter investments during these times. So maybe we can discuss a little bit more how you guys, each of you as individuals, in your different fields, how you navigated these challenging times and what were some of the innovations that you brought to your businesses? Maybe we can start with Ross one. I've got a question for you. So, what are the opportunities and threats out there, especially due to the pandemic and the effects in mind? I mean, opening a coffee shop or an art space, that's very difficult, and how did you keep that alive during this time?
Okay, so we're primarily a retail space. It's a cafe. We thrive on walk-in customers, and we also have an event space. So it was really a lot about having different events happening in this space. So when the pandemic happened, our priorities had to shift. Of course, the biggest priority was how creative and agile could we be with whatever resources that we had, so that we could face whatever was coming our way. And I think one of the biggest investments that luckily we made before the pandemic was to get a coffee roaster. So this actually allowed us to control more parts of the supply chain of the business. And so that during the pandemic, we could actually roast the coffee beans in house. And then we were delivering coffee beans to people who were learning to brew at home. And so it was really about just rolling with the punches and trying to see how we can serve our market better given all the changes happening around us.
That's pretty incredible because I mean, that's what a coffee shop is. You go and you meet people and you interact. But being able to bring that barista experience at home and then also capitalizing on all the DIY and, hobbyists that grew out of the pandemic, that's a really smart move. How about you, Marga? How have you been coping and thriving during these times? I feel like Kaayo has done so much better even during the last 2 years.
Thanks so much for that, Steph. Maybe let's start with Havayanas. So it's been a roller coaster for us. Sometimes we're thriving, sometimes we're coping, thriving, coping, but I can't complain. For Havayanas, we're in retail. So at one point, no one was coming to the stores, right? So we had to figure out how to bring our products to our customers. So it was a one day at a time trial and error of what worked and what not, what didn't work. So we were quick to set up a website, but that didn't work in Mindanao. What worked better for us was our reseller program that we set up. So we found different partners all over Mindanao to help us bring our slippers to more people. No, so and that worked for us gladly. And Steph, we thrive because we sell slippers, and
Yeah.
I feel at one point you really still need chinelas, diba? So if you're loyal to a brand like ours, Havaianas, I feel if you need more chinelas, you will still buy Havaianas. So that worked.
This is true. I so
Right.
let me just interject here a little bit because I find that really interesting. When the pandemic came about, most businesses, especially in retail, immediately looked at digital platforms, online platforms, online sales. But not every market is accustomed to buying things online. As you mentioned, in Mindanao, it didn't really catch on the online buying, right? And I find that so interesting that you really kind of figured out what would work best for that particular product. So,
Yes, yeah, yes, correct, Steph. It was really a back and forth, no? So for Kaayo, I am just so blessed that everyone now is still looking to buy with a purpose, right? They're all looking for that unique story of their purchase. And we're all now loving local, promoting local, and really going out there to promote what is ours, uniquely ours as Filipinos. So we're grateful that we belong to that space. So it's been good for us. And mostly, so many people have come to encourage us to keep on going no matter how
mhm.
hard. And that's a big shout out to Tatler, to you guys. Steph, you guys have really always inspired me and encouraged me and our tribes to just keep on creating and keep on going no matter how challenging. So, I will have to say we thrive because to this day, we are still able to give good, sustainable livelihood to our Mindanao indigenous tribes and women's groups. Thanks to all of you, because we are really only here because of all of you.
Fantastic. I want to build on that sort of like purposeful consumption, right? Conscious consumption. And maybe Ross can also jump in on this because I remember you do roast your own coffee and local beans. And has this been a real movement to sort of support local? Is this one of the things that have uh, like risen from this time? No? Ross?
Sorry, there seems to be an audio issue. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So, yes, I think that was one of the kind of good things that came out of the pandemic. The desire really to support local and what is closest to you, from like your neighbors who are
Yeah.
selling in the community, to, of course, all the artisans and producers that are found locally. And that was something that was really felt in the coffee industry.
Mm-hmm.
During the pandemic, I also had the opportunity to grow a community called the Coffee Homebrewers, where we really guided people on how to brew coffee at home, because it was like one day in March 2020, right? Everyone was like, how do we get our coffee? If we cannot go out there and buy it, how do we make it at home? So it became a community where producers, local roasters, the small coffee shops got in touch with consumers, and we were just helping each other. And I think it was an all-time high as well for awareness about Philippine coffee,
Mm.
because before they'd hear about it, they'd try it here and there, and then even some people would come to commune, still be a bit skeptical. Is Philippine coffee really good? But during the pandemic, suddenly like, okay, we'll try local coffee. Okay, it's pretty good. Is there any other local coffee out there? And they even got to interface with some of the coffee farmers through Facebook, and that really drew more attention to Philippine coffee.
I mean, that's really incredible. And it's really all about community building. And I think this was really what is unique or what makes Filipinos unique, right? Because, I remember in the height of the pandemic, I was laughing so hard because there was this sort of like text going around like, okay, Italians, wear your mask, stay at home. Basically, all the countries were like, stay at home, wear your mask. And then Filipinos on Viber, like, I have pandesal, face mask, like, like PPE. I'm selling also shomai, shopao, whatever you need. And it's quite funny to see that it's really the sort of entrepreneurial spirit that we have, but also this community spirit, like really connecting with people around a craft, around a local product. I mean, I know so even the plant industry. Can you imagine? all these plantitos and plantitas, I think is quite incredible and very unique. So it's nice to hear that story about connecting the farmers with the beans and the roasters, and of course with Marga's story as well of, you know, the workers and the beaters and embroiderers that will really connect with these people. So I guess this emotional, purposeful purchasing or conscious consumption, right, is a big part of it. Um, let's hear a little bit from you, Franco. You're really very much more in the finance side. So
Yeah.
I'll be very honest. I am not like adept. I'm always one of those people who, when I want to invest in something, I need to hold it. You know, I'll be like the
Yeah.
old lady that puts things under her bed in a shoebox. Because I don't understand. These tangible markets, NFTs, and all that. Oh my gosh, like stock market. So I would like to hear from your end. Based on the work that you do, what are some suggestions? What are some trends? What are some ways you
Yeah.
can preserve your financial resources and still participate in the growth of industry and business? I would like to hear, because I'm always afraid to take that risk. Like if I can't hang
Sure.
on to it, it might disappear into the air, right?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think it's the theme that's developing throughout this conversation is really interesting, and that's investing in your community, investing in the Philippines, really, and investing in Philippine products, and actually that's really at the end of the day what my firm Foxmont Capital Partners really does is we invest across a variety of different industries to empower Filipino entrepreneurs, right? And it really starts with an investment thesis, like what do you want to invest in, and what is your core belief, right? And for us, it's really the digitalization of the Philippines, and how to access different communities in very creative ways. But when we do that, what we think about is like how do we invest in a safe way, right? Like we can't just put all of our eggs in one basket, and we can't just invest in one company because, well, it's going to be pretty difficult. You're putting all your hopes in one specific company, which is why we diversify, right? And we really think about, we really create a budget almost, and we think about, okay, who are the more, let's say, who are the more conservative, safer bets, who are the kind of middle of the road bets, and who are the, let's say, high potential but very risky bets. And for us, that's already 26 different companies that we've invested in, and we will
Wow.
continue to do more. On a practical manner, I think that just translates well to like my personal life, right? I think it's always about making sure that you've banked what you need to bank to survive, right? Just your core daily, monthly needs. And then taking the rest of that and really thinking about how you want to invest it, what sort of things you are comfortable in investing in. And so the first thing you should do is invest in things that you're comfortable with, right? Things that are like,
Yes.
things that you just know. And then, towards the end, then you can start being a little bit more radical, or let's say, take a little bit more adventure in the way that you invest.
Yes, I have a lot of friends now talking to me about cryptocurrency. I'm like,
Hmm.
no. I'm like, I'm still super not comfortable. Like,
Yeah.
no. I don't get it. I'll just have like, as my sister-in-law Audrey says, just invest in jewelry. If there's a war, you can make it sadla. You know,
That's true.
at least something you can hang on
Yeah.
to. But that I think it it's true about finding your comfort level. Maybe Trina can hop in in here as well and talk about like, how do you know? Let's say you've got your regular investments that you're comfortable with, but you kind of want to experiment a little bit. Is there a certain percentage of your funds that you should look at, or like, how they say sometimes you spend 30% on your housing, you spend, if you have x amount to spend, how much of that should be on like taking a bit of a risk?
Okay, it really depends on your appetite for risk or your temperament. Because if you don't have the temperament to invest, then totally don't invest. Or ask a professional, like go to Franco or someone to invest money, or look in insurance. But a good rule, maybe 10 or 20 in savings, and another 20% maybe in investments that are based on your risk appetite. So it really depends. And again, always like Franco said, always work on something that you're passionate about, that you know is within your circle of influence, your everything that like what Marga has also done. She is into weaves. This is something she's passionate about, right? And also Ross, coffee. I've read that Ross has been into coffee since she was a child. So do something that you really like, and you won't even call it as an investment, but something that you will definitely succeed on.
Fantastic. I like that. I think, at the end of the day as well, if you are passionate about something, then you will get nerdy about it. You'll get into the weeds, you'll read all the articles, so you'll be in the know, right? Franco, maybe you could suggest us what are some of the things that are hot right now. So you did say like the digital space.
Sure.
Are we're talking about things like, local homegrown brands. We started talking about Sinigang Valley. I don't know if you've heard of that
Yeah.
term.
Of course, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, for again, for us, it's what is hot, but just anything that really accesses the digitalization of the Philippines. I mean, a few reports that have come out recently that are super interesting, right? I mean, did you know, for example, that we are the fastest growing e-commerce industry in the world? In the world, faster than like the U.S., faster than Canadian, everybody. And I think that's a super interesting, fact to think about, right? Other things
Mhm.
that are interesting, we all now use digital wallets, right? We used to be all cash.
Ah,
70% of our adult population now has a digital wallet. We pay
yes.
digitally. This was something that never happened in
It's
2020, let's say.
it's pretty incredible because without going mentioning any names, but I was at a meeting at the headquarters of one of these digital wallet uh makers or producers or investors. So like one of the biggest ones in the country. And I remember I wanted to get a coffee in the lobby and they were like, you have to pay with our digital wallet system. I'm like, that's strange. I mean, I have 100 pesos here. Can't I get a coffee? Like, no, nope, it's all digital. And I found the whole concept like very strange. Now I can't live without it. I walk out of my house with my phone. I don't have a wallet anymore. I don't have cash. I never have cash. I pay everything with all the digital pay systems. It's quite incredible and life changing. And even when you go to these mom and pop shops, like um, I love finding old records in Bancal or Evangelista. These people used to just take cash. There was no card, no check. They would just pay. Now you can pay with your digital wallets. It's crazy, right?
It's insane. I mean, the average Filipino now opens a digital wallet 2 to 3 times per day, right? You use it 2 to 3 times per day. And I think that in and of itself offers so much opportunity for anybody that either wants to build a business online, or wants to invest in a business online, or start a business. It's such an interesting space to be in. So yeah, I mean, if you were to ask me, of course, being in venture capital and investing in tech companies, I will always revert to investments into tech companies as a pretty exciting space to be in.
Well, let's talk about maybe end users. So, like people like Marga and Ross. I mean, has the digitalization of these payment systems has it changed your business for the good?
For me, definitely, I'm such a tita, I would say. Sometimes I'm like you, Steph. What? I already have money. Why do I have to? Where do I have to do all these things, right? So even in the business, they're like, Marga, you have to get all of this ready. Your Gcash. Why? We don't need that, right? I was in denial at one point, but it made things so much easier and so much faster. So yes, it has helped. It has helped, and we have to learn more about it too.
Yeah. How about you, Ross?
The whole time you were talking about the digital wallets, all I kept thinking was it had to take a pandemic, huh?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I've always been quite aware of the e-commerce space, and I knew that the rest of the world was getting in on it, but the Philippines is a bit slow on the uptake on that one. For retailers, digital wallets are a solution to a problem, like having a change fund. Always, we used to always scramble for change, because people would have big bills with them and they want, there's no, and we're like, could you please just use your credit card? But now with the digital wallet, that simplifies it. It simplifies tracking the payments. And it allows people really to buy from anywhere in the world and pay from anywhere in the world. So it simplifies a lot of things. Um, a long time coming, but now that it's here, it's really such a wonderful change for retail. We can actually even treat the online store as a separate sort of like a store. Like we have one shop, and our online store, I treat that as my second shop. So it's really opened up a lot of possibilities. And our coffee used to be something that people would have to make a schedule to come to Makati and try it out, or find a way to buy it here. But now we're shipping our coffee all over the country and soon to other places in the world. And I think that's the kind of reach that digitization will give you.
That's incredible. I mean, really, the times have changed, and you really have to like sink or swim, right? And adapt. And I find it so positive that it's all homegrown concepts that have helped uplift everybody. Like, right, what we're hearing now. So local coffee, local communities adopting to these payment systems, and all homegrown ideas as well. So that's pretty exciting. Now, let's talk a little bit more about financial security because, like many people, I believe, I too felt like, concerned about work, job security. Do I have enough for a rainy day? I'm responsible for so many people. Um, what did I save enough, right? And I think much like I think in the past I was a lot more of for as long as there's money coming in, it's okay if it goes out because you just work more for money to come in. But now we're really thinking of having that nest egg, that sense of security in case of a rainy day because we have seen 2 years of crazy rainy days, right? So maybe Trina, you can weigh in a little bit on this. I read that a recent Cocolife Care survey that was conducted by Cocolife in the pandemic had made more Filipinos realize the importance of financial protection. So, um, any insights on what Cocolife is doing to address these findings?
Okay, that's really true. So basically, the pandemic brought awareness to a lot of things, as mentioned a while ago by Ross. It brought awareness to Filipino coffee. Then it also brought awareness to digitalization. In fact, pandemic brought sharper focus more than ever on the importance of financial security, or what we actually call insurance in our business. Because Coco Life Cares, 1 year into the pandemic, we conducted a survey to understand the Filipinos' current thoughts and feelings. We asked sensitive questions on their financial health and dreams. Results of the survey actually revealed compelling numbers that a single event can bring many from financial freedom to financial destitution. So it's really sad. To address the protection gap, Coco Life's ongoing financial literacy program, such as this one, stress on the importance of every life, of every dream, and every tailored policy that will help achieve financial security. As an insurance provider, we do not trivialize to our customers the importance of money. Money is important, but we are not chasing money. We are chasing financial freedom. Insurance provides that financial protection to our loved ones. It is not an investment contract we make today for a secure tomorrow, but more of a pronouncement or an expression of our enduring commitment of responsibility and love to our families and to what we call in insurance our beneficiaries. On top of the financial literacy programs, we're also very aggressive in our product development efforts to design solutions that are responsive to the needs of all market segments. In particular, our latest product, Coco Life Life Vest, is a combination of I'm already selling some items here. Combination of comprehensive insurance protection and a potential earning investment fund. So you might as well want to look into that with Coco Life's comprehensive suite of products that are inclusive. It means Coco Life is for everyone and appropriate to varying needs. We empower Filipinos to actually achieve financial security. So that's what we've done.
Trina, I love the passion and emotion in which you talk about insurance. I think you are the most like passionate insurance spokesperson I've ever met. It feels so warm and safe and easy to talk to this with you. Talk about this with you. I know Filipinos, even within my circle, even people who are affluent, many are afraid of insurance. For example, just throwing him under the bus. My father never believed in car insurance. I'm like, Dad, you know, why? He's like, doesn't matter if there's an accident, I'll figure it out. I'm like, what? Like, so, I think Filipinos in general, especially older generations even, and younger ones too, not we're not really an insurance culture, are we? Right? Like
Yeah,
they
we're
don't
not because
understand
we
whether
don't
that's
want to talk about those bad things like the crash
no,
or
but even
yeah.
or even medical insurance, housing insurance, it's really not commonplace. And what
Mhm.
more life insurance, but something like this now really makes you think about the future. If life is so fragile, right? Like
Yeah.
we realize now that one minute you're well, another minute you're sick, right? So
Mhm.
I think people are really starting to wake up and not wanting to leave their loved ones in disarray, or even having a nest egg for themselves for later on if they need it. um so let's talk a little bit about, you know is it really a wise or smart move to invest in a life insurance in particular and savings plan and one? I think people don't really understand what life insurance is, and as versus just putting money in a savings account, right? Like it's two different things. And maybe you can um enlighten us a little bit, and what tips or advice you might have, and to what plan is good for you.
Okay, so basically, we just really have to know first what insurance is. Like what Steph mentioned, if your car crash, what will you do? So basically, insurance is the deciding factor between sickness and health, or being in poverty, or experiencing financial freedom. Insurance is a necessity, and it's always a smart move to allocate a portion of our income to insurance. From this perspective, insurance, though may not exactly be a savings plan, it may be a form of habit wherein you put money for the insurance premium. So basically, you're saving. So if you're having thoughts on purchasing insurance, consider that there is such thing as immortality, right? So we have to talk about that. It is the love, basically, that we leave behind. That is our immortality. And insurance policy is one of the definite way to secure our financial resources and to protect our loved ones. So definitely, we have to purchase insurance. If you can buy insurance for your car, why can't you buy insurance for yourself and for your loved ones, right?
I agree. This is so true. So I promise you, I won't hide cash na lang under my bed. I will.
Yes, it's
I'm
better
just kidding.
different. So put it in
I won't
venture
put my
capital or
boxes
into
anymore under
insurance.
my
Buy
bed.
coffee,
Like,
enjoy your life. Yes.
okay. Also, even with businesses, right? In case of anything that goes wrong, I think it's good to have that, to be insured, to know that you have a safety net. That's pretty much what it is, right? I want to hear some maybe advice from you guys before we move on to some questions or comments. So I before we continue with the with our my question here, and the discussion. Guys in the audience, if you have any questions for any one of our speakers tonight, um, or just in general, please feel free to write it in the chat box, and we will try and address them and add it to our really fun discussion. Actually, it's very, it's nice to learn about these things, but also in a more casual way. It's hard to read a brochure or an article
I
and
agree.
not make sense of these things, right? So, Franco, any tips on sort of securing your financial resources, and if or advice if someone's like thinking twice about insurance or investment?
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, I think securing your financial resources should never be a second thought, right? I think that in general, it's just, very smart to make sure that you are putting money aside in different types of investments if you can. Because at the end of the day, what is it but a generational investment, right? It's one that secures your
Yeah.
own and your family's future, right? And I think that's kind of just a very, again, if possible, a very basic need that we all need to ensure for our families. It's just a matter of like just thoughtfully approaching the way you want to invest your hard-earned money, right? And if you want to go, if you want to start with safer bets, definitely safer bets like life insurance. I mean, there's a few certain things in life,
Correct.
and actually, what you're doing is you're taking a bet on something that's certain, if you think about it that way, right? And I think in that case,
Just really zero risk, actually,
Yeah.
in that
I'm-
sense. I mean, one
right? I
day or
mean,
another.
yeah, I mean, we all have to face our mortality. I mean, we're a young group of, Filipinos. We're on average 25.8 years old, but
Yeah.
it doesn't matter, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's still an endpoint somewhere. And this is a great way to just kind of bank that and make sure that you are securing, your own and everybody else around you's, own wealth.
And
So,
I
so
think
yeah, it's a smart move.
it's also reframing the way we see the world, because you know what they say, there's something called so small island Pacific island mentality, where the countries in these Pacific islands that have volcanoes, that have earthquakes, that have sort of storms, uh, traditionally and culturally have this mentality, well, why will I invest in the long term, because a storm is going to come and tear down my house anyway, right? So anthropologically, these are some of the studies about like people from these areas of the world, whether that's like Fiji, Polynesia, all that, basically the ring of fire in the Pacific Islands. It's kind of like, well, why will I build a nice house when a giant typhoon will tear it down anyway? But we can see that today, really, we have to make that change, right? We have to. The pandemic came, and everyone is hit, right? It's wealthy, not all sort of like socioeconomic classes were hit. Nobody escaped the pandemic. So I think being able to reframe our mind and think long term, think really protection, rainy day. This is a great initiative by Cocolife to sort of educate people about our financial security. Ross, do you have any thoughts about what advice would you give to someone who's like you, a young entrepreneur, passionate, and but with the uncertainty of the world right now, like how would you say putting aside that money for a later day?
I think a lot of it is really knowing what your priorities are. Know what
Hmm.
your priorities are, and then know what you have so that you can sort of reallocate. What do you need for your daily existence, needs versus like
Yeah.
entertainment and other stuff, right? And then for your personal finance and for business, it's the same thing. Just really prioritizing and knowing that, okay, that you have contingency plans in place. No matter what happens, you're not gonna freak out and just stop and not know what to do, because there are ways to handle it, and hopefully you have the means to handle it. But when it comes to like insurance and all these other types of investments, I think you're right. Reframing it. I think for younger people, especially in the Philippines, we're all surrounded by family. We think when we're young, all the older people will just take care of everything for us, right?
Yeah.
But I think having your affairs in order and putting investments in place, like in insurance, is also a way for caring not just for yourself, but even your family. That should anything happen, you're not further burdening them or giving them an extra problem, because you've also thought ahead and had that contingency plan in place. That's how I would look at it now. I mean, maybe 2 years ago I wouldn't be speaking this way, but I mean, with everything that's happened, that's how I sort of reframed it.
For sure. It's crazy how it's really changed our lives, no? Okay, Marga, lastly, any tips or advice before we move on to some of these questions here?
Mine is a story share, no? We just recently had EO forum, and there was an icebreaker question. So the question was, if you were given $1 million today and you had to spend it in the next 24 hours, or it'll
Mm.
disappear, what would you do with it? Where would you invest it, or how would you spend it? So you had to think fast. So my colleague quickly just said, I'll just put all of it in life insurance. I'm like, Nako. I'm like, wow, really? Right, Trina? So I'm like, oh, so I had a million questions, but everything that we talked about, everything that we're talking about now is what he simply said, no? He said, at the end of the day, if there's something sure, it's that one day we will no longer be here, right? And if I am assured that my children will be more than okay, I can sleep better at night, right? And whatever money he has right now, he will enjoy for himself, invest for his travel or whatever, because he knows that there's that $1 million there, and whatever interest it will, no, it will give him once
Accrues.
that time will come, right? So I do have investments in insurance, but after that, I really thought to myself, you know what, I'm going to talk to Trinna after our talk tonight, no? Because really, let's
I'll
just
call
reassess
you.
that. Yeah, call me. Let's just reassess that. And correct, that's true. We have to make sure that we set aside that much to sleep at night.
That's true. And you know what? I'll be very honest. I was thinking about it as well. So properties, although it sounds like a sure investment, and it always is.
It is. It still
If you
is.
have good quality properties, it never devaluates. But if you're multiple children, right? And then they make mana the properties, then it's all shared. There's a lot of paperwork, bureaucracy,
True.
taxes involved in all of that. You have to sell what if someone doesn't want to sell, but one wants to sell? And then that's why you walk around sometimes some of these villages, luxury villages, and you have these homes that are kind of like banned and abandoned because there's still all these court cases. So it's what later, maybe it's sure for you now while you're alive, but later it's not that easy to necessarily pass it on seamlessly to your, if you have more than one child, right? So to your loved ones, because then there are all these things that get involved. So definitely, I think life insurance, I'm learning tonight, seems to be like the easy way to get that money back and right to the people who need it the most immediately. Okay, I think we should take the time now to answer some of the audience questions. Okay, we have a question here from Lauren. Any financial tips you can share for young people or Gen Z? Franco, maybe.
Yeah, budget well. Don't use it all on shopping.
Yeah.
Think, put some real thought into what you need to spend on and what you want to spend on, and try to put some aside, even if it's like, my dad used to tell me, like $1 a day, $1 a month, even something like this, that just puts you in that mindset that something that you can bank and put away, either into a savings account or into life
Yeah.
insurance or venture capital, let's say, is always something that's good, that's a good investment no matter what.
And just start doing it now. I regret not investing in a retirement fund when I started first working 10, 15 years ago, right? I'm like so huli na sa balita. I have to find other ways for like my retirement, right? But
Mhm.
we gotta think ahead as well. So as early as your 20s, as soon as you're working for yourself, put aside even just a little bit every month, right? Okay, any other questions out there from Christine? Do you have any tips on how we can market businesses in this digital time? Okay, maybe Ross can answer this.
So many ways. I think that's one of the wonderful things about digital marketing is that there are just so many channels that you can use. Sometimes it might get a bit overwhelming, but there are a lot of choices there, and the key is familiarizing yourself with the tools available. Familiarizing yourself with really just basic marketing concepts, because that's what you'll apply anyway. And then don't feel the pressure to be on all platforms all the time.
Hmm.
Not everyone has to be on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram,
Yeah,
Twitter,
agree.
and every single thing.
Yeah.
Choose one first that you're comfortable with and take it from there. But again, like I've said earlier, now more than ever, we have the opportunity to reach a wider audience. So that's a good thing.
And also community building, right? Like you said earlier, sometimes it's like the best way really to market, but in a positive way, right?
Yes.
Creating communities. A lot of these brands that have started like digitally don't even have a retail store, but more than anything, they have a community and they have brand presence because of user generated content, people posting. They want to be a part of a tribe, right? So let's not
Yes.
take that
Steph, I would
for
say I'll
granted.
agree with you, no, for me. For Kaayo, I only started on Instagram. No,
Yeah.
Christine. I was just, I took the chance. We did that. And luckily we grew, no? And actually, right now, I am still only on Instagram.
Mhm.
Like Ross was saying, you don't have to be everywhere. I'm not even on Facebook, right? It's really just there, and that community is good enough for me and what I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Knowing your audience as well, right? Is your product patok on Shopee, or is
Yeah.
it patok only on Instagram? Or right, maybe you're just a Viber person, right? Viber's changed so many things. My God, I bought so many things on Viber, like all these things
Like
in the
your ube
community
pandesal.
chat. So funny. Okay, is there another question here from Angelica? Okay, hello, Miss Trina. What insurance product can you recommend for first time investors, especially for single young professionals? I like that. Okay, Trina.
Okay, since you're very young, then you can invest on higher risk products like VUL
Mm,
plans. Those are index linked with investment opportunities in different funds. So term insurance is also good, but it is for older people. But life insurance is the cheapest when you are very young. So now's the time, like Steph said, buy retirement plans when you're still young. But if you want
yeah.
high earning, go for it, VUL products.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Any other questions there in the audience? Okay. Christine, what are the do you think are the top three principles to keep about financial security? Asking for a friend. Okay, so maybe Trina can take this as well.
Okay, for financial security, first is invest in yourself. You will never
Mm,
lose that if you invest in yourself. Then always invest in something that is scalable because it will grow infinitely. Like the digital sphere, it's definitely scalable. But if you invest in something which is limited, then how can you have security to that? If you've tapped all your markets, then I won't call that secure. And of course, principal in financial security, insurance again. So something that will give you protection for the long run, not just a day, but for the long run.
yeah. Okay. Invest in self. That also means taking time to do yoga, meditation, and have a facial.
No one
So
can
that
take
your
that
mind
from
is
you.
clearer to make better investments. Okay, here's another question. What will make you feel financially, I guess, secure now? This is from Lyndon. Is to have a savings or insurance in Coco Life for our future and our family. Hope and pray. I win today. Oh, this was a comment actually. Add more winners for the raffles para happy all. I love it. Sana all. Sana all. Um, Okay, so let me just remind all of you guys, if you want to start making smart moves with your finances, check out Coco Life and their products on their website at www.cocolife.com and their Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages. You can also call their customer service number 028 810 7888, lucky numbers, and email them at customer_service at cocolife.com. Now, we have one question here again from Isabel. Hi, Izzy. What industries are you guys keeping an eye on in terms of possible investment? Okay, so I'm gonna rephrase this question, like what Marga said earlier during the EO things. If you guys had, let's just say, 1,000,000 pesos, okay, and you had to spend it and invest it today in something, what would it be? And just quick fire, Franco.
I'd split it. I'd split it into three equal pieces, let's say, and some of it will go into new businesses, and some of it will go into things I know, fintech, e-commerce, and some of it will go into, well, savings, life insurance, things like that are
Okay,
safer.
all right, Marga.
Well, quickly, so this year we partnered with an architectural firm to create modern Mindanao spaces. So if you give me a little startup investment, I would like to create that health and wellness space in Davao.
Nice.
So, yeah.
I love that. Fantastic. And Ross?
I'd split it up too. Something more secure. So let's do more insurance. And then crypto. And for that, I'll put a
Okay.
little and just leave it there. Don't watch it every day. And finally, more of the coffee farms. We need more coffee, so we'll need to invest in more of that.
And it, yeah, you know what? I like that. Investing as well in the community because, the farmers need investment in the Philippines. I'm just going to put a little shout out there for, our agricultural communities out there. They're suffering because they lose a lot in, the transportation and the middleman. So one of the amazing things that this pandemic has done is created a space where you can have farm to table direct or farm to consumer direct. So, guys out there, please continue to buy from your local farmers, continue to look online for people who are directly from the farms or supporting the local communities, because it's very difficult for them. A lot of these farmers live very far, and the average age of a farmer is 50 years old, and 50% of them are women. And I've met some women who are 70 plus years old, and they're the only ones farming their land, and none of their children want to take over. So let's also think food security, if we're thinking security here. So yes, invest in local farms. Please buy local produce. Wag na so much our imported produce. Although it's really wonderful that we have it, but buy local first. So just my own little shout out there. Okay, guys. We have time to just sort of wrap up and give some little insights from everybody. Thank you so much. This was really wonderful, and thank you as well to the audience for being so engaging. Um, don't forget, I will also announce the raffle. Are we announcing the raffle winners? No, the team will be in touch with the raffle winners. Maybe guys, if you can send me a little. Yeah, okay, we're gonna announce the winners. So they've actually chosen the winner. So before we wrap things up, let's do this. So, just a reminder of what we are going to be getting. We are going to be getting a coffee bean and tea leaf coffee machine and a care package from Cocolife. So, let's see who are our winners today. We've got two winners. Oh, congratulations, Anne Dumanglas. Okay, yay. And Micah Gomez.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Exciting. Like the other guy said, sana all. Sana all. I wouldn't mind a new coffee machine. Okay, so thank you so much. Any last words, Franco? We'll start with you and then move on to the other speakers.
Yeah, call Trina, and then call me. When investing, call Trina and then call me. It's my final.
Fantastic. Perfect. And Marga, any other thoughts?
Tonight, I learned that there is much to learn. So I will call Trina and then I will call Franco. Thank you guys for having all of us.
Yes, Ross.
Okay, I'll do the same. There are a lot of people to call after this discussion. But I think the best takeaway that Trina said, one of the best investments is to invest in yourself. So invest in yourself by drinking good coffee and learning new things and investing properly.
Fantastic. Okay, Trina, any call to action or last thoughts on this?
I'll wait for your calls and for more calls to Coco Life. Thank you for that. But again, I'm looking forward to the digital growth. Thank you, Franco, for being there to fund a lot of things, to commune, to brew the Filipino taste, and to Ayo to dress us up, to pretty us up, dollars, and everything there. It's just basically investing in the Filipino people.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much to all our guests tonight. And thank you, of course, to our audience. So many comments, so much participation. I'm really grateful for all of it. Thank you, guys. The same as Ross. My greatest takeaway here is really invest in yourself, because you know what? We only have one life, one body. Health is wealth, and also our mental health and our spiritual health. So we should do that. And for everything else, there's Coco Life Insurance if we don't make it through, you know? But the truth is, thank you so much. It's been really positive and uplifting talk. Who would have thought talking life insurance can be positive and uplifting? Because the truth is, we are investing in ourselves and our loved ones, in our communities, and this is how we're going to thrive through these challenging times. All right, guys, it's been a pleasure. I'm Stephanie Zaviri, your host for this evening. This was another episode of Tatler Talks in partnership with Coco Life. So thank you again and have a good night.